Okay, welcome everybody. This is the SIG Node CI weekly meeting on October 29th, 2025. And this meeting is being recorded, so please make sure anything you say can be said publicly. And I will kick it off with tests, assuming I'm not missing anything. I think we have a few agenda items, so let me go ahead and share that tab. Okay, so the first agenda item is actually from me. We saw that a bunch of these tests were failing, but I noticed that a lot of them are actually not SIG node tests. Like all these failing ones are labeled SIG storage. There's a bunch of like API machinery ones. There are SIG node tests too, but there's a lot of other ones. So I'm not sure like why these are here. Does anyone know anything about what this job is for or why they're on our test grid?
Did the jobs that run in this change if you zoom out?
How do I zoom out?
If you go to size, I think if you do compact just to see.
Okay, that's just compact.
Oh, unfortunately, I guess do we rename this one? Looks like it doesn't matter. We only have the last 2 days.
Yeah, I think there are two questions. Why is they failing? And the second question, why we run them. I think the question for why they're failing, maybe some removed storage drivers. I remember some mentions about it. I'm trying to look for it. Yeah, that may we may need to create a bug assigned to SIG storage and tell them that they are failing. As per why we run them. I wonder if it's E3. Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm just checking. Let me add a to-do item to the agenda to create an issue. Oh, sorry, Sergey, please go ahead.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a test slash E2E slash E2E slash node or E2E underscore node. I'm trying to look for a definition of this job and see.
In the test info repo?
Yeah.
What am I looking for?
Look for a job name. Yeah, you see, this job doesn't have this minus node tests equal true, so meaning it's cluster tests.
Is that intentional?
Yeah, I mean, we need to run both, right? So we need to run both, but they run in separate test definitions, like tests E2E slash node are tests that run on cluster. So we create a master node and we create a couple regular nodes, and then we set everything up. Tests that run like E2E underscore node, they're single VM tests. When we fake a process that pretended to be API server, and then we start a kubelet on the same machine. So it's like test and kubelet and API server all run on the same VM. So those are different tests and require different configuration. And we have this attribute for the test called minus minus node test equal true to distinguish them. I would expect like node tests that are under E2E underscore node. It's something that we will run and help like SIG storage to run. We wouldn't be responsible for that, but most cases we will run them. But cluster test, I agree, like we don't need to run them. I'm surprised to see it. So maybe we can clean up the definition, just remove those tests from here. Just
Okay.
add a SIG node focus on this. Can you see like if SIG storage has its own test grid?
Um,
If you go to test grid on a root folder.
in the test info repo or?
Oh, test grid, like regular test grid. Testgrid.gates.io.
Oh, I see. And look first. See.
No, just go to the like this corner, like yeah, here, SIG storage here. Yeah, there aren't plenty.
They're all passing, or that none of them
Yeah.
are like failing. I don't know why. I think that
Yeah.
answers my question though.
Yeah, I think we need to file a bug for SIG storage and tell them that we plan to remove their tests. And if they have this test running somewhere else, they will need to deal with that. If they don't, then we will need to discuss further.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Okay. With that, I think we can move on to Maria's topic.
Yeah, mine's just a quick one. So I was looking through the first few links in this doc and I found this external Kubernetes SIG Node CI test grid tracker, which is basically like the spreadsheet that kind of simulates the test grid and gives updates on like where the test is at what date, the status, if it's like flaky or not, and then directly links sometimes certain PRs or images, or issues that pertain to that. And so, if you notice, the most recent date is from 2022, actually almost 3 years ago, on October 31st. And I was just curious, one, like why it discontinued, and two, what are people's thoughts on trying to bring it back and have it part of like this meeting's agenda with checking it so there's clearer like a clearer tracker of who's taking care of what and since when, like the status of and the historical status of different testing jobs and stuff. But yeah, those are my two questions.
I can offer some historical perspective. I started this tracker a long time ago, and we had few people helping filling it up. We almost had a rotation of people filling it up every week, and it really helped. Like if you look at some of them, like it really helped to understand that some tests are never being addressed. Like if you scroll, like it gives you like extended history of what those things are. And like that's how we know that serial tests are constantly failing because of single bug and nobody looking at this bug. And it's after some time it just stopped, mostly because uh, there were two things. Like first we get into reasonably good shape, and the second, like people were started doing some other things and I didn't have energy in me to support it myself. That said, I really enjoyed the way how you have like past week links to all the issues tracking the failures, so you don't need to search for GitHub every time you analyze the test grid. So it was like really neat. I wonder if we can have similar thing automated somehow else without manual updates of spreadsheet. But spreadsheet is a good way to go about it. I don't know if you feel like it's a good idea, we can probably revive it.
Yeah, I would be open to bringing it back. I feel like it was nice to have like the clear snapshot in one place. But we can like try it out for like the next 2-3 meetings, see how it goes. If people like it, we can continue. If not, it's okay. Could go back to hibernation.
Yeah, and it also goes back to organizing tests as well. So we may have some renames here later. Hopefully not that much of renames. So this was organized by um, high level tabs. We may need to do like one level down organization. It really depends on how many tests are failing. You see, like on the container D, we had like 3 past failures, 1 new failure. So it was quite hard to understand, and history was not easy to understand comparing to past week. But yeah, I think it's reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just continue the same format and see how it goes, or like think of any other formats and I'll bring it up.
All right. With
Yeah, is there any way to like automate these failures and kind of post them somewhere? Like make it a little easier than checking through test grid? Because I feel like I know there's an email list now that I guess supposedly works. I'll admit I've never joined it.
I wasn't even aware of one.
I'm on the email list, but I don't find it that helpful because then I have to like scroll through my emails.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering, like, if, like part of this meeting, if there's something like pulling these, because I do agree with, I think with Sergey, like, looking at this definitely needs some updates, which is fine. But like, yeah, there's no SIG node critical, the containerd, and I didn't see a cryo tab, and like it is almost like each of these probably has a lot of test failures, so I could see more information probably needed because it's not as. But I like this plan. Yeah, I think something to kind of maybe make it clear what problems there are, and ideally make it much easier to automate the creation of issues. It's kind of already a little time consuming to create these issues as is right now, in my opinion.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess the first thing was just to make sure if people are like, okay, no one's opposed to it, and then I guess next week I can try to start populating it with like current times and then see if people like that. Sounds good. I'll take a jab at it. Thanks.
Okay. And then there's this last agenda item. Is this person here today?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, this is Guna. So, this is regarding there was an issue which was more of a feature related to automatic generation of documentation from the tests, for which I have actually implemented some kind of prototype. A couple of meetings ago, when I discussed this regarding the approach, I was being told that once I'm ready with something, I can actually demo it or showcase it. But one thing I missed is was SIG Node CI the right meeting or the meeting that happens on Tuesday? So it takes a couple of minutes if it's okay to actually show it here so that I'll get some inputs on whether the approach is right or not, or if I have to do it some other way. If this is the right forum for me to show it here. Else I'll show it in the Tuesday meeting.
I'm happy to see the demo here.
And we can do
All
both
right.
all the time. So like, yeah, I also supportive to see it here.
All right. Okay, sharing isn't turned on. I have sent a request, maybe.
Yeah, you can now share.
Yeah, all right. I'm sorry. Can I rejoin? You guys may continue. If it's okay, I can put this to the end of the meeting because my Zoom needs to have
Yeah,
that
it's no
access
worries.
to be able to share the screen, and I'll have to reopen. Yeah, sorry about
Okay,
that.
no worries.
Just give me. Okay.
Okay. Maybe I'll open the board, and when she comes back, we can just go to her demo. Let me reshare my screen. Why is it not? Okay, it's not letting me share my whole window, so I'll just share my tab. Okay. Got some test failures. This one looks familiar. I think we've discussed it the last few weeks, but let me double check.
Yeah, I'm working on this one, just chasing the flake. No success by the looks of it. There was another PR that got merged yesterday, and I can see that hasn't helped. So I'll continue working on this. That's the
Okay,
plan.
sounds good. Is it this issue that you're assigned to?
Yes, yeah. There are, yeah, you see the two PRs that got merged. So
Okay,
yeah, I guess we need some more changes.
sounds good. It looks like it briefly got better for like a month and then started flaking more frequently again.
Swati, will this static pod PR help the situation? Do I need to take a look?
Yeah, take a look. I feel it's unrelated. The static pod PR essentially referenced this particular issue because there was a job failing because of this particular device plugin
I see.
test failing. So that was essentially it. I would say it's unrelated, but obviously take a look. I reviewed the PR as well.
Okay. Oh, so that's being tracked. Okay, I think that's it for this one.
Oh yeah, that PSI metrics one has been there for a while.
Yeah, it looks like it's been failing ever since it started.
Yeah, I don't know if I saw this one up until I think it's interesting that Cost is the only one that's not getting this failure, while Fedora and Ubuntu seem to be getting this. So I think I put this on that tracker issue around this one because not sure if it's the same issue with if memory QoS fixes this one also, but I'm just wondering if there's like a common kernel between these two that's kind of causing this to occur and not in costs.
I see.
But I think that we have a tracking issue on this one already. I think Maria knows where that one is.
Is that this one?
Yeah, I think I put a comment on the bottom.
All right, cool.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's take a look at these other ones. Okay. Exit Status 255. Connection refused.
Sorry, why is pod level resources getting picked up here? It must just be probably because it's marked as disruptive.
Sorry, my screen share is not cooperating. Sorry, could you repeat your question? Are you asking why this is here?
Yeah, pod level. Oh, okay, it does look like an eviction related one. All right.
Yeah, so there's those failures. Let me see if this is being tracked.
This one looks new to me. I don't know. I'm not as involved in the pod level resources, but was there a PR that merged in the last few weeks on this one?
I'll check with Dixie, but I don't think so. I also don't see an issue filed for this particular error. So let me add that to my action items.
Oh, that's what the AI stands for. I was like, is she gonna ask AI to do this?
Okay, and then separately from that, like, there's this failure that seems to occur intermittently that just causes the whole test suite to fail. I don't really know what to do with this.
Yeah, I mean, I typically think of these as improv flakes, but if they happen a lot,
This is just
might-
tries to reconnect. Like when node is being created, it tries to SSH to it in the loop, and all the failed connects are there. Eventually, this needs to succeed.
yeah, but it does
Okay.
look like it's gotten a lot worse.
Yeah, like starting around here, it's happening pretty frequently.
Yeah, I glanced at one of them. If you can take a look at one of them, like go inside, like yeah, go inside this failure, and go to artifacts, and like go to artifacts again, in one of these VMs, and look at kubelet log.
Okay.
It looks like kubelet does a lot of stuff. Like this file was quite long, and it was like scheduling pods and like doing something with pods. So I feel like tests are running. I don't think it's a setup environment problem. I think it's some reporting problem. Maybe at the end we failed to write some test file or something. But I think
What
test.
is exit code 255? Is that an ohm kill?
Yeah,
I looked it up, or I thought it was like very generic, but it can be like remote failed to connect or kill or like something has gone wrong.
Yeah,
with the info.
typically an kill is going to be 137. 255 is like, yeah, the or at least in cryo world, like we failed to catch the exit code, so it's just unknown.
There's a serial log. Could we just check that real quick to see if like the node failed?
no,
You mean
it's
this
all
one?
set up correctly because kubelet is full. Like kubelet log is full. Yeah, so it's all set up correctly. Kubelet was running and running tests. I think the problem is maybe results were not written properly or something. Oh, can you look at Ginkgo log? Just like this
This?
one above cool. Yeah, one above cool log. Which tests were running?
Um,
It's a long.
I don't know how to read this.
If you page all the way down,
all the way down.
I think it will report if. Is that all the way down?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, it looks like one of the tests just didn't complete. Is it timeout? Can you look at like first timestamp and last timestamp?
Okay. First timestamp 1302. Last timestamp 1312. That's not very long.
Doesn't feel like timeout. Something fishy going on. It's clearly not a setup issue. Like we set everything up and it looks like tests are running. At least some Ginkgo tests are running.
Should I file an issue for this?
What test is this? A swap or eviction? Okay, I think it's swap.
It's swap.
I see.
Hmm.
Can you go to the Fedora one? Sorry, it's kubelet swap conformance Fedora serial.
The one right before.
This one looks
Okay.
fine. It happened like once, I guess. Twice.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I would file a bug on the Ubuntu one.
Okay.
And maybe also tag SIG testing on it. Maybe mention SIG testing Slack message.
Okay. Cool. Let's move on then. What's this one? I think this is the same as that other issue, which is already being tracked.
Oh wait, we still see the notes tab.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there.
Thanks.
There it is.
Yeah, I think it's this one is failing the most, this device plugin one, which is already being tracked. Let's look at this one. Does this look familiar to anybody? I don't recognize it.
We actually do need to look at these. SIG release has called these out as they're in the SIG release informing. There are two issues. I think all of these EC2 ones are mostly failing for this problem.
Okay, got it. Are they these two issues at the top?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, these were filed earlier this week from Signal or Release Signal. I think I put a comment on one that has more about the potential failure. Seems to be something with containerd. If anyone here is more knowledgeable there, I think Ben called out like, well, whatever. Someone else could take a look. I don't really know what the right config for containerd is supposed to be for 2.0. I tried to tag the folks that are maintaining the AWS. Well, Dims is no longer maintaining it, but he said Todd Neal wouldn't be able to maybe help there. But yeah, right now we have a lot of the AWS ones failing outright.
Got it. Okay.
What about Chris Hensey? Isn't he a containerd maintainer?
He is. I can tag him. I don't know how much he knows about how like AWS is configured with containerd, but he might know something. Okay, I mean, I think our best bet is to wait for TZ Neil to reply if they're the most knowledgeable about it. I just realized it's 12:36. Do we want, or 10:36? Oh, sorry, I'm in Central Time. Do we want to switch over to bugs, or do we want to spend more time on the test grid?
There's only 3 in the triage board, so I think there's time.
Okay, maybe I'll go until 10:45, and then we can switch over. Okay, I'm gonna assume that TZ Neil will reply and give us more information about this one. I see that these are all EC2 failures. Okay. Let's move on to this one. This is the only one that's red, but it's PR means pull request, right? Do we need to look at those?
So this one is a canary job. We just updated it to use crun runtime, and the crowd team is aware of these failures. We haven't dug into them yet, as far as I understand. But
okay, do you know if there's already a tracking issue?
I think we're kind of tracking it on. I don't think so. I think we are tracking it somewhere. There's like a PR that we were sort of talking about it on, but I don't actually think that it's an issue for it. This is like this canary job is like supposed to break first, so like it's sort of expected.
We have a tracking issue to update to move run C to C run. We can just call it as part of this. We won't roll this out to more of the cryo until we fix the canary job. But
okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Okay, then there's this tab, which are also EC2. So I'm assuming it's the same thing. This is also EC2. And then there's this job, which I don't actually know what this job is. Is anyone familiar with what this is testing, cAdvisor ETE?
No.
Does Prow still work with cAdvisor? I actually haven't looked at the cAdvisor repo in a while.
Yeah, I think we're keeping cAdvisor on Prow because it. Oh, actually, we should be. cAdvisor is in Google repository, right? Needs to.
Yeah, it's in Google cAdvisor. I don't know if I don't know if this job is still relevant or not. I haven't looked at that repo in a while.
Me too. I mean, one option is to file the bug and start taking a look. Deems were paying attention on that, so maybe Deems can help. Maybe we don't need this job because otherwise we would know.
Okay, cool. That's the last tab in the test grid. Let me briefly look at the triage board, see if there's any outstanding issues. This one is cross SIG, so let's not worry about it. This looks like test changes. For DRA. Is DRA within our scope?
Yep.
Okay.
It's mostly product change, right? Not that much of a test.
Yeah, I guess it's a feature. There are test changes, but that probably goes with the feature.
Yeah, and mostly will be scheduler part because probably more on scheduler side APIs.
Okay, I'll take it off our board. This one I think is probably similar. Take a quick look. Yeah, it's a lot of feature code. This one's from Brandon. Sounds like feature. Yeah. See if there are anything that actually sound like tests. This one sounds like a test.
Oh yeah, that one's mine.
Yeah, can you ping Ben on this? Because Ben's helping us with merge. Ben's the elder. Yeah.
And there.
Yeah.
And then there's this one.
I'll close that one. I got confused. That one does not need to be there.
No, there are still things that we can clean up. I think.
Besides the to-do?
Yeah, we need to update the description of the test. I would strongly encourage to make it clear, like what environment we need instead of just referring to cap.
Okay, I'll only make that specific change then.
Thank you.
All right, it's 10:45, so let me move this over, and I will hand it off to Maria for bugs.
Until have Guna on a call. Guna, do
Yeah,
you want to?
I'm here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot.
Yeah, I could go ahead for the demo.
Yeah.
Let's do demo, and if we don't have time for bugs, we can do bugs offline.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I'll just get started. Are you able to see my screen? Or-
Yes.
All right. So basically, the doc that is generated here actually got automatically generated from the code that I've developed. So how it so I've just this is more of a prototype. The code isn't organized as such. So what is happening here exactly is, let's say on our test cases, for example, something like this container lifecycle tests or pod condition tests, whatever tests, because these are the tests that were being pointed to in the enhancement and the issue that was being created here. So every for in this case, I'm considering the pod tests, pod related tests. So let's assume that there are certain markers that are being declared on top of this test. All right, like let's say this is the scenario and it has to go through the success. These are the states to which the pod succeeds, and these are the states to which the pod doesn't go to, where there's a failure, and what is the possible reason, and some very uh, marker. It's basically a Golang marker. See, like for example, in the controller gen utility of Golang, where the markers and uh, gen all packages and loaders are being used. It's the similar approach that I've taken here, where there is just certain keywords that needs to be mentioned. For example, in this case, which is the pod state, where the pod with certain parameters like whether it has init containers or not, whether it has a volume or not, what is the scenario that we are testing, and what are the states the pod succeeds through. And if it has failed, what could be the reason? So certain like this is the marker that is being defined. Now, if I try to map this marker to I'll just give a small snippet of what the code looks like here. So I've just defined some kind of rule against it, saying these are the parameters that I'm expecting as a part of that comment, which is the success states, the scenario, the failed states, failure reason, etc. So this code takes care of actually parsing that marker into this, and then I have written a generate code which actually puts it into a MD file, a doc, basically. So there isn't anything automatically available, like there isn't a package available in Golang that actually generates the document. This code needs to be organized a lot. It's just just to showcase the approach that I've come up with. So now this code, when built as a binary and given certain arguments, so here I've just hard coded those values. Let me just show that. Yeah. So, which is the file we want the doc to be generated to? What are the files that it needs to look into for those markers? And the directory where it has to be put. That's all. Certain arguments over here. And the markers, basically, I have defined a rule over here, a definition saying that the markers must start with the key like this, which is doc generator pod. So similarly, there could be other things, container or anything else for which a new generator has to be written. A lot of it can be made modular or can be made common, not more something that can be reused. But yeah, so reading these markers and this particular code, it parses it and generates document over here, and that document is basically this. This was being automatically generated here, which it basically says this is the scenario and this is what the pod spec looks like for that. And for this pod spec, it successfully transitions to these particular states and it fails to go to these states. And the reason, if it has failed, the reason could be this. Um, yeah, like there are, I have added 4 different comments over here. It can be made as a multi-line comment. I'm still, because this is not quite readable. That's something I'm still looking into. So yeah, these are like different things that are being generated, different scenarios that are being generated. The same thing, if we try to map it here, right? Pod with no init containers. So you can see the first thing that is here is pod with no init containers and further description of the same. And if it's pod with init containers and running pod with no init containers with volumes, like this is the case of missing volumes, and this is why it failed. Basically, whatever is there in the tests, I picked this up from one of my, let me just show. Yeah, pod conditions test.go. This was one of the test suits. So here, because this was quite a simple one for me to demo over here actually. So I picked the scenarios that were being mentioned here, and accordingly I added certain markers in this markers.go and ran that and generated this document. Yeah, this was the approach I thought of because there was one more thing. Okay, yeah, before I go ahead, yeah, any feedback on this? Is this the right way to go, or yeah, I just wanted to.
Yeah, just to set the context for everybody, like there is a link to the issue we started, and the idea was that some documentations that we have really lacks real world examples. We want to show how things works. Like if you want to tell that pods will keep running during pod termination, we want to ideally demonstrate how pods are like how probes are still running during pod termination. Here is a pod you have probes defined on it, and see how probes keep running when pod is being terminated. We have end-to-end tests for that, and we have some documentation for that, but there is no connection between test and documentation. So that was a part that we wanted to fix, and moreover, to cover more scenarios with proper human-readable explanation what it is, and clearly define tests that runs as part of end-to-end. So now, I think original feedback for this is I think it's a little more complex that we thought it will be. So the original idea was that markdown documentation will be written by a human, and there will be like this code snippets that refer, and it wouldn't be code snippets, but like some kind of placeholders in the markdown documentation that will refer to specific test case, and the inside of this test case will be populated from a test execution. Similar to what you did, like I think you generated the whole markdown here. So idea was that like instead of generating whole markdown, have placeholders inside human written markdown to auto-populate by this test results. So that's the first feedback, like that maybe improvement over the what you have here. And second one is instead of describing tests in a separate document, feel free to introduce some frameworks that people will need to follow inside the end-to-end test itself. So instead of declaring markers, you can say that markers needs to be declared in test itself. Like test itself can say like this is a pod definition, and this is like actions that are being performed, and these markers can be part of a log output, and then this log output can be used to generate the markdown. So that's maybe a little bit cleaner approach. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I just needed more clarification on the second point that you mentioned. Um, so you're saying actually for this demo purpose, I just put all of this inside a random file. My idea was to have these markers against these files over here, the test files, like on top of the functions, something like that. So what you're mentioning is like when we run this some binary that we have created to be able to generate the documentation, it should parse from the log output, or should it parse from the test file itself? Also, this document, just to add more to that, this document, should it vary across tests? Let's say some certain test fails because of some flaky, it could be a flaky test, or there could be some other reason for the test to fail. So is it like the documentation will change, that doc that gets generated or whatever template that gets populated, is it going to change every time because of some flaky failure?
I mean, ideally we generate from green execution, right? So, but I don't think every test execution will update the documentation. I think it will be process that somebody will need to run. Maybe automation will need to run periodically. And like if test failed, then we cannot generate documentation. So this whole documentation generation will fail. So I don't like generating from code sounds as a sounds. I mean, it may be okay. I don't have like really strong opinion like was it generated from code or from test, but this test needs to execute and run green in general. I feel like generating from logs may be easier in the sense that logs like code can look very differently for different cases. Like maybe some tests will have different parameters, and these parameters will be read from some additional functions. It will be really hard to map all that to this kind of doc generated markdown, or like doc generated markers. It may be easier to just parse the log output.
All right. Okay. I need to take a look at that. Yeah, I need to see how that can be done. Okay. Sure. I'll just add. So, okay, on the issue created, I'll just be adding these 2 points. One is that there's a human written markdown and the uh, yeah, test linking back to the test and other details or the test results will be updated there. And one more thing is parsing from the log output. I'll add that and I'll work on it. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all I had to share.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you.
Do we have time for like one bug, maybe? 3 minutes.
Sure.
We can do it offline.
Okay, that also works. Sounds good then.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a nice one.